The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning. I am Christina Felchlin, Director of Technology Consulting with Ledgeview Partners. I would like to welcome you to today's Dynamics 365 User Group webinar. We hope you were able to join us last month for our beginner admin training. This month, we'll go a little more advanced with our spotlight training topic of advanced admin training. For our returning attendees, welcome back. It's always great to spend our time with you. For those new to Ledgeview Partners and these webinars, welcome. Ledgeview Partners is a business and technology consulting company who partners with organizations to transform sales, marketing, and customer service operations and processes that are supported by core technologies, including customer relationship management and marketing automation. We offer sales, marketing, and customer service and CRM consulting. We pride ourselves on the strategic business advice, process definition, and technology solutions we provide our customers to advance their business. We love offering these user group webinars, and we hope you enjoy them as much as we do. If you are looking for more free content, visit our website at ledgeviewpartners.com and sign up for our blog posts or download our ebooks and case studies. For our agenda today, I want to let you know that it is getting very near to our V9 upgrade end date, then talk about our new release model coming to online orgs in April. Then we'll cover a few of our top advanced admin type tips, answer customer submitted questions, and then we'll close out the webinar with a date and topic for the next user group webinar. I want to give you one last reminder that all Dynamics 365 orgs will be required to upgrade to V9 by January 31st. Most orgs are scheduled no later than mid-January, so there is an alternate date before January 31st. If anything does happen, please contact your Ledgeview account manager for assistance. Also, another new update to remind you about, Microsoft's new release model. Moving to Dynamics 365 V9 is going to be foundational in allowing Microsoft to move forward with their continuous delivery method, making everyone be on the same one version for all future online updates. Microsoft will be upgrading everyone within the same data center at the same time and allowing each individual org to turn on the new features they want to utilize. There will be no more customer-driven updates, meaning after July 31st, 2019, there will be no more choosing when you get to upgrade your org. However, you will be able to test the new features in the sandbox first before turning them on in production. Now, to get to today's feature topic, I will turn over to Michael Dodds, Application Consultant with Ledgeview Partners, as he shares highlights on the advanced admin training.
Thank you, Christina, for that wonderful introduction. Good morning, everyone. I hope you are through your holiday preparations and just ready to get down and enjoy the holidays and wherever you are, because I know our marketing director loves it when I decide to do our monthly weather report. It's snowing here, and I'm just not a big fan of that because I'm from the South. So it has decided to cover the ground here. So I hope wherever you are, it is not snowing and you're staying warm and safe, and enjoy the holidays. Well, we got a lot to cover today, so let's jump on in. We're going to be talking about advanced admin training. Last month, we talked about basic admin training, and when I talked about what we covered, it's a 2-hour session. As you can see here, advanced admin training is a 6-hour training session. That can be broken up, of course, but it's a lot more items that we cover. And we go more in depth on the basic admin training items, and we cover more information as well. We cover field security profiles, which is a way to make items, specific fields, more secure in your system. Business units, which is a way that you have different departments within your business, a way to differentiate them and restrict access to different areas within your system. Templates, email, document templates, and email signatures. Workflows, business process flows, XRM Toolbox, which is a great tool that every advanced admin needs to have. We go over that tool in various ways that you can use it to make your life easier. More things within Customize the System. Business rules, which is logic-based, as our workflows and business process flows. relationships in CRM, data mapping, and Cascade Rules. Those last three we are hitting on today. And there's even more that we cover. So as you can see, there's a lot of things that we cover in advanced admin training, and that's why it's a 6-hour training session. It's all very important information to cover. And if you really want to get in the nitty-gritty of the admin piece to really make yourself self-sufficient, I really recommend an admin training. I'm very passionate about admin trainings, as you can tell probably from the last training or the last webinar that we did, and I really do recommend the advanced admin training. So let's jump in. We're going to start with relationships. These are used. Now we want to jump into what are relationships. So there are 3 different types of relationships within Dynamics. So we have one-to-many relationships, we have many-to-one relationships, and we have many-to-many relationships. So the first one is one-to-many or one-to-n. These are used when you're creating a relationship between 2 entities, where there are multiple records from one entity associated to a single record of another entity. It's basically a fancy way of saying you have one, they can have a whole bunch of other ones associated to it. Okay? Think about accounts and contacts. There can be many contacts working for a company. Okay? So that's a one-to-many relationship. It looks back up to the account. Okay? So that's where the single record can display all the records from the other entity that are associated to it, and it usually does this through a subgrid. So if you're ever on the account page, you're looking at it, you see that contact subgrid. It looks like a table, and it lists a certain amount of records, and it has that next page to it. That's a one-to-many relationship, and that's how it displays it for you. It also, in your related entity section, has an associated view that you can pull up. That's how one-to-many relationships display. The different use cases for one-to-many relationships are accounts to contacts, to opportunities, to cases, activities, quotes, notes, even projects to project items. So that's one where you can see a custom entity to a lower child record. The reason why you normally see this on accounts to many other records, because accounts is your top hierarchy, and then it kind of slowly filters its way down. But even contacts to opportunities is a one-to-many relationship. Anytime you want to create a relationship between 2 entities that has many records associated to one, that's a one-to-many relationship. N to one, which is many to one. So anytime you see N, that means many. So many to one relationships really are not created. They're a byproduct of a one-to-many relationship. It's the flip side. Okay? The relationship for each many record to the individual record is shown through a lookup field. So on contact, there's a section called company name that lists the account. That's the lookup field looking back up to the account. So that's the one side. So the one side of a one-to-many, many-to-one relationship is displayed through a lookup field. That's how you know you're on the many side of that relationship. Use cases, opportunities that have a lookup field back to the account, same thing with contacts. Really, it's just a byproduct of a one-to-many relationship. It's looking back up. And then end-to-end or many-to-many relationships. There's not many out-of-the-box created ones. You can create some of these, but really what they are, they're used to link many records from one entity to many records of another. Each side of the relationship is displaying various records that are associated to each other. That's done through subgrids. It doesn't store anything. There's no information about the relationship. There's no information about who did the change, when it was made. What you see is what you get. Okay? Really, when you're kind of looking at this, if you're on an opportunity and you want to track, hey, who are the committee members that I'm working with for this opportunity? You can do a many-to-many relationship between contacts and opportunities. And you can simply add various contacts on that opportunity and display them on the opportunity. And those are the various ones you're working with on that opportunity. They can then also have many other opportunities associated to them. So in essence, contacts have many opportunities associated to them, and opportunities are then associated to many other contacts. So many to many. Again, it's conveniently displayed in a subgrid. And it displays key information because it's a subgrid. You're choosing the view. Display important information like phone number, email address, job title. Okay. Next, we're going to jump into cascading rules. So cascading rules, we're going to go into dynamics, and I'm going to show you how these work. And actually, all the items that we're going into today with cascading rules and data mapping, actually you have to go into the relationship to look at these. Cascading rules and data mapping really drive off of the one-to-many relationship. That's really where you're going to have the main effect of changing items. Okay? So what are cascading rules? What do they do? Cascading rules, it's really how CRM interacts with its child records. Child records, it's that one-to-many relationship. So what cascading rules is dependent on the cascade action and its rules. So here are your actions and your rules. The actions are right here. So what happens to the parent record is your action. So our various actions are assigned. This is simply when a record's ownership changes. So if we have Mike's Truck Stop, I'm the owner of Mike's Truck Stop in Dynamics. And then I'm going to reassign that to Christina. Okay, so I reassign that to Christina in CRM. And that's the contact. Activities are the child entity. The cascading rules will go under the action. Simply the assign is the action, and then we have rules that come off of it. Share and unshare, just like it sounds, when a record is shared or sharing is removed. Roll-up view, this one's really cool, and this is only on Dynamics 365. So this is a newer one. But roll-up view, this is where you can take custom entities, and if they're related, you can set up a roll-up view where, let's say they're associated to a contact, so it's a contact to a custom entity. You can take activities that are associated to that custom entity, they'll roll up, and they'll display on the social pane or the associated activities view on that contact. It's a really nice way to roll up the activity so you're seeing it on the main contact section. It's a really nice feature. The reparented, this is when the associated parent record changes. So you can share the activity with the owner of the new parent. Reparent is one of those items that even seasoned admins who have been admins for 10, 15 years get reparented confused. It's not assignment. So think about it from the standpoint of an activity. An activity, like a task, is always set to regard. So there's that regarding field. It's always set to regard an entity, so like a contact. It's regards a contact. If we decide, oh, that task shouldn't be set to regard Mike Dodds, it should be set to regard Christina Felchin. Okay? We need to move that. we need to take the regarding and move it from Mike to Christina. So I move that. I'm reparenting it. So when I reparent that, that's the action of reparented. What that does, we then look at the owner of the new parent, and it's giving shared access to the owner of the new parent record. That's what it's doing. Deleted, when a record is deleted. Merge, parent record is merged. Those are just the actions. Off of those actions are rules. These are your various rules. Cascade all, cascade active, cascade user own, and cascade none. Cascade all just simply means, hey, it's going to happen no matter what. Set up, cascade all, it's going to happen. Change will flow down to any child record. So again, if we're looking at contact to an activity, so it's a task, we'll say. So contact task. If you have ever seen it where you reassign a contact because someone in your company has left and you've reassigned their contacts, and in the social pane, you've seen like all these activities float to the top of the social pane that have been closed for years. And they float to the top. And you wonder why that is. That's a cascade rule. That's exactly why that's happening. And it's because when we changed the assign on the contact, it changed ownership of all the activities, all the tasks, because we had it at cascade all. Even the tasks that were closed and have been closed for years were reassigned as well. And that changed them. The last updated date changed to today. They moved to the top. So that's a big effect. And that can have a massive effect on your system, because if you want to keep the history of who owned those tasks, or those, it can be done on emails, appointments, phone calls. You want to keep that history of who owned those and completed those tasks from years ago. You don't want it on cascade all. You want to move that to cascade active, because you only want to change the ones that are active. So the change will only flow down to active child records. Cascade user owned, on the other hand, we look at the share action. So I own the Mike Dodds contact in Dynamics, and I share the Mike Dodds contact. That means all the activities that I own will also be shared. And then cascade none, nothing happens. Okay. And I'm going to go into Dynamics and show you all of how this works together and how you can change these and update these. But here's an example. If there is a one-to-many relationship, you can choose the following for how child records are treated. So if we go account to contact. So a parent, so there's various different ways. A parent, this is how it's set. This is the way it's always going to be. So cascade, the change to the child record when new owner is assigned, the record is shared or unshared, reparented, deleted, merged. No cascading when the role of view is changed. Okay. Parent is just flat out the same. So let's jump into Dynamics and I'll show you how we get to this section. So within Dynamics, we're going to go into Settings, Customizations. We're going to go right to Customize the System. We drop down our entities. If we look at contact, one-to-many relationship, right here. So this is where your relationships are, right under the contact, right under the entity that we drop through. So these are your forms, views, fields that we looked at last webinar. Right underneath those are your various relationships. So we're all looking at the one-to-many relationship. Primary entity is contact. We're going to sort by related entity. And we're going to go down. We're going to look at task. And right now it's set at parental. Parental is locked in. I can't change any of these. This is set to all. And what is very important about this, cascading rules is one of those items that is highly important to the system, that is actually one of the least looked at items until something happens that makes a change that was not expected. Because this relationship, this cascading rule, this is one relationship, contact to task. Let me move this aside. You have all these different relationships for contact. You have all these different entities. Each one has its own default setting. They are not all the same. Not every single one of them can be updated the exact same way. Each one has a slightly different type of behavior as well. So here, parental, they're locked in. Cascade all, roll up view, cascade none, reparent, delete, merge, cascade all. So if we come here and we go configurable cascading, now I can change some of these. Cannot change all of them. Roll up view, still locked. Delete, merge, still locked. Delete means I delete the contact, all my tasks are deleted. They're gone. Very, very important on accounts. You delete accounts, your contacts go away, your opportunities go away. That's cascading rules. So assign, you can change these. Cascade active, cascade user owned, cascade none, share unshare, reparent. You can change those. So those are changeable. We can come over here and we can look at referential. And we can look at what happens with referential. So if we delete, so contact to account, it's just going to remove, if you delete contact, it has a referential, it's just going to delete the link between contact and account through primary contact. Has no effect, it's not going to have any other effect to account. It's just removing the link. So those are your different types of cascading behaviors that you can have. And you also have system and referential restrict delete. So contact to contract. This one's important. If we look here, restrict delete. If there's a contract associated to a contact, you cannot delete the contact. It will give you an error message. It will say, nope, sorry, you can't delete this. You're going to have to delete all the contracts out or remove all the contracts associated to the contact before you can delete the contact. That's all cascading rules that's affecting that. And then system is the other one. Those are also locked in. You cannot change these. The one where you're going to have an effect, so filter by type of behavior, is where it says parental, or if it says configurable cascading. That's where you're going to be able to make the change. So very, very important to understand how the cascading rules are set up in your system, because that is what is going to happen on those actions. So yeah, like we talked about configurable cascading, you can change any of the options above except delete, rollup view, and merge, and you can change them to all of these. And this is where you can change them. You can click on the one-to-many or many-to-one. You can change the relationship there, because many-to-one is the byproduct of the one-to-many. And then you can change. Next item we're going to jump into is data mapping. So data mapping is used to copy data over from a field in one entity to a field on another entity. However, this only works when a record for the second entity is created from a record of the original entity. Now, that sounds like a whole lot of lawyer speak, even when I say that out loud. The reason I write that way is because I'm going to explain it. In other words, if I'm on an account record and I want to create a contact record, so I'm on widgets are us, okay, and I want to create a contact. I want to create Tyler Smith from the widgets are us. I can create that from the subgrid. I can click the plus sign, create a new contact. What data mapping will do is I can map the address, the business phone number, the account name into the company name section. I can map over various fields. That way my users don't have to recreate the wheel. So it helps to reduce the need to enter the same data twice across multiple entities. You can even do this account to opportunity. If there's certain items that are important on both entities, both records, map it over for them. But when it's not going to work is if I just went into contact and clicked new and then added the widgets are us to the company name, it's not going to bring that over. You have to be on that widgets are us account name. Click the plus sign to add the contact, then it'll bring it over. Now, to add this, set up the data mapping, same exact area, one-to-many relationships. So we just go right back in here. So if we wanted to go account to contact, we expand account, one-to-many relationships, sort by related entity, come down to contact, double click, move this over, mappings. And then we can either sort by display name, target name, see what's already in there. Very important to see what's already in there because you don't want to recreate the wheel. Also, you can't have a target name in there twice because otherwise you're just writing over it. It won't let you do that. So then we click new. We expand this. And if I wanted to go account to, and I know this one already is mapped, so what it's going to do is it's going to error out on me. And I want to show you this because this is a way that you can always get back to see the various rules of data mapping. So if I sort by the display name here, so this is a way if I said I want to map the account over to the company name of my contact, I'd come down here. Display name is the name you want to go by. because if we sort by name, that's called the schema name, which is not the name that you will generally go by. Display name is the name that you see on a regular basis. I went past. So company name. It looks like it's actually not in here as company name. So this is another danger. There are times where it's listed on the form. Actually, it's because it's already listed on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one so we can see this. So if we go here, what it's going to do is it's going to error. So it'll say invalid field map. And these are your rules. Data types have to match. You can't take a single line of text field and try and put that into a currency field. It's not going to let you do that. They have to match. Also, another important thing is you can't take a single line of text field that's 180 characters and try and put that into a single line of text field that's 170 characters. Because what if you filled out all 180 characters on the one? What are you going to do with those extra 10 characters? System says, nope, you can't do that. Either the target has to be more or they have to be the exact same. The formats have to match. The source field has to be visible on the entity form. Okay? That's the other big, it's really important to make sure. The target field the user has to be able to enter data on to the target field. If they can't, it's not going to work. And then address ID values cannot be mapped. So these are important rules that you need to know going into this. Also, make sure that you created the field on the target entity before and put it onto the form before you try to do the data mapping. Because what can commonly happen is if you go to set up this data mapping and you've forgotten to create the field, you can't find the field, and it's like, oh shoot, forgot to create the field first. So steps to do this: find the field that you want to map over. Make sure that it's on the form on the target entity. If it's not, create it. Make sure that the data types match, formats match, field lengths match. Make sure they're really set up the same. Then go in and do the data mapping. The mapping is the last step. And then once you do that, test it. Then you'll be able to go through. The other piece that data mapping does, when you qualify a lead, that is also considered creating an account, a contact, an opportunity from the lead record. So you can do data mapping that maps over to each of those from the lead. So you can bring over fields from the lead to the account, to the contact, to the opportunity. Saves you a ton of time. That way you can stress the importance of filling out the lead in completion to your users. That way they get as much information out of that. So fill out one form in completion, get 3 records filled out by filling out one. Last one we're going to jump into is business rules. So for business rules, this is a logic-based. So there's different action items that you can do for business rules. There's recommendation. This allows you to show a recommendation message that performs one or multiple actions. With a recommendation, a user can choose to apply the recommendation or dismiss it. The user can still edit the fields changed by the recommendation even after the recommendation is applied. So in other words, it really is just a recommendation, not a rule that's going to just take effect. Okay, these other ones will take effect. You overwrite them, it's still going to come back and overwrite it after you make a change again, because it's reading what's in the system and then it's going to overwrite it. Lock and unlock. you're making a field read-only or allow the field to be editable based on conditions. This is one of my favorite ones. This is showing an error message. You can display an error message, and you set the field where the red X message will appear, and then you write the error message. So you write what the error message is going to be, and they're going to get that error message next to the field and next to the little save button at the bottom. And they can't move on and save until the conditions are no longer met. It's a fantastic way of keeping your processes online and not allowing users to enter in something accidentally or that don't meet your processes. Setting a field value. Based on certain conditions, set this value to be XYZ. You can clear the data, set the field to match another value, set the field to a particular value, handpick, write in, or utilize a simple formula to set that field value. It's a very handy use. Default value, same kind of thing. If no value is inputted, it's going to default it to that. You can set the field to match another value, particular value, or a simple formula. No clearing for this one. Business required, make the field either required or not required. And then visibility, show or hide. Very, very important with this. Cardinal rule of business rules. Reverse out everything you do. So if condition says, if account number contains data, then make relationship type required. Well, what if somebody accidentally put in the account number and they're like, oops, that was incorrect. I didn't mean to put that in. They delete it out. Well, you made relationship type already required. The removal of that doesn't re-trigger the workflow, the business rule, doesn't re-trigger it. So it stays required. So you need to reverse that out. So what I mean by that, you set a condition off of it that says, else if account number does not contain data, make relationship type not required. So that's one where you always want to make sure that you're doing that. Otherwise, you're making them fill in a field that they may not have the information to, and they can't save it until they fill it in. That's my pro tip. Scope for business rules. This is also very, very important. So I'm going to jump into Dynamics and show you the scope. So to do business rules, it's actually just as simple as updating a form. We want to do it for accounts. You just go into any account record, saying that's where we want to do the business rule. So we go into the account itself. All right, I'm just going to go up to New, click Form Editor. So as this loads, we click Form. These are all happening on the form, so it's really important. All business rules, except for one scope, you have to be on the form for these actions, these rules to take place. So business rules, up here is where we click those. Click New Business Rule. It's going to pop open here. This is your scope. So account, information, AI for sales, and account for interactive experience. Those are all main forms. Main forms is the form that you see every time you open up an existing record. That's a main form. Move this to the side real quick. Same thing here. This little drop down, each one of these is your different main form that you can choose between. A quick create is when you click the little plus sign next to a subgrid, a little half form comes down. That's a quick create. If you want to do a business rule on a quick create form, the only way to get that to work is to do all forms. And that means the business rule will run on all forms, including the quick create. You could not just have it run on quick create. It's either pick and choose one main form, all forms, or entity. An entity means it will run even when you're not on the form looking at it. And that's important because there are times when values are getting populated off of a business rule, and you want that to take place and not wait for the user to go in and open up the record for that to change, because there could be back-end workflows or integrations that are making these changes that would affect the business rule coming in to make that calculation or new value going into that field. And you don't want to wait for your user to open the record. So the entity scope allows it to run like a workflow, runs behind the scenes, and it will update. Very important for reporting. You don't have to wait for a user to open it. Some gotchas: any field utilized in the business rule must be on the form in order for the business rule to run. You can have up to 10 else if statements if you're on Dynamics 365. Can't interact with tabs or sections. On-change events are not triggered when business rules set a field value. Whole number fields with time zone, duration, or language as their format are not supported. And rule definitions are cached in the mobile app. So you have to close and reopen the app for the changes to take effect. So in other words, if you make a change, close and reopen the app. Basically, uninstall the app, reinstall the app. Last one, storage management. Attachments are a prime source of storage capacity issues. There are two options to remove the attachments for emails. You can delete the attachment and the email. The next page shows an advanced find where you can set up and delete the attachment and the email. Another way is you can delete the attachment and leave the email. That's the preferred option. It allows you to keep the originating email in Dynamics, but remove the attachments that are eating up storage. Really get the best of both worlds. So this one would also apply to notes. You can delete the note and the attachment. Really, you run these advanced finds and then delete. Run deletion. The email attachment removal is your popular custom coded solution. It's a better way to do it because you usually want to keep the email and just remove the attachment. So it's only going to delete the attachments while leaving the emails in Dynamics. It utilizes a workflow that can be run on the records to strip and delete only the attachment. We can even take it a step further with more code and schedule it to run on a maintenance schedule based on your policies and needs. So if this is something that you feel is affecting you and want more information about it, this is definitely something we can help out with. We have a user submitted question. However, this is one that would take a little bit more, but time to go over. I would love to have a webinar for import and export solutions from sandbox to production. How is the best way to do this? This is an excellent question, and this is definitely something that we cover in advanced admin. Solution import tips and tricks is a highly important item and definitely something that we cover in admin training. So this is definitely an excellent question. And it does take a little bit of time to go over. So I definitely think this is something that I recommend an admin training for, but it is something that we can go over at a later time.
All right. Thank you, Michael, for the great content. We hope you all enjoyed this admin series. In case you want to go back and reference any of the tips Michael provided, we will email the video and slides to you within the next few days. We would love for you to share this info with all of your other admins. I can't believe we are already thinking of 2019. We are currently planning a lot of great topics for the new year. First on the list for January is CRM New Year resolutions. If you know of anyone in your organization who would be interested in this webinar, please remind them they can register by visiting our webpage, ledgeviewpartners.com. Click on News and Events. On the right side, you will see these webinar registration links along with our other webinars about business consulting and marketing automation and strategy. On behalf of myself, Michael, and all of us at LedgeView, we thank you for taking the time to attend our user group webinar today. We look forward to seeing you on the next one. Wishing you all a safe and festive holiday season. Goodbye.